good cocktail recipe. That's what you have to do. Just send her a recipe.
Be mevater.
She wants to be mevater.
She just has to do it. She has to figure it out.
It's not genuine. She has to do it.
Tell her
you suck it up and do it. That's it.
No, she has to understand the reward for being mevater. It's got to bring the gula.
Correct, but here's the thing.
It can bring her personal yeshuas for her being mevater.
It can, but the thing is, if she's taka being mistreated, then it's not so pashut. I asked if they have a therapist. So they used to have a therapist, right? But to see how to handle it, whatever it is, the shaila is
the mistreatment could be in her mind.
That could be. This is not for text, right? It's certainly not. It's not for text, right? But okay, she has till Yom Kippur, so I told her just relax and let's see how it goes. You have till Yom Kippur, but yeah, okay, whatever it is. Let's see weiter. So we got up to Amar Rav Elazar. Yeah, it's at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 lines down from the top on Lamed Gimel Beis. That's halfway through today's daf. Yes, Amar Rav Elazar. Kol Talmid Chacham. Yeah, we have it.
Yeah.
Kol Talmid Chacham she'ein omed b'fnei Rabba. If a Talmid Chacham does not stand in front of his Rebbe, Nikra Rasha, he's a Rasha. Ve'eino marach yomim, and he will not have long days. V'talmuda mishtakach, and he will forget his learning. Shenemar v'toiv li el Rasha v'lo yarach yomim kitzel asher einenu yorei milfnei elikim. He's not gonna have good things, and he's going to his life will be like a shadow, like itself. Somebody's got to mute. Yeah, and please.
Is that why I don't remember anything?
Maybe, but I don't know. Maybe.
Said a Talmud Chacham.
He's a Talmud of a Chacham. He's Rabbi Yeager's Talmud.
I'm not saying you're
no,
not.
I was referring to standing up in front of you.
Oh yeah, please. No, I do have a question on this, but what's that? Myra zu any adamahu, right? We don't know what Myra is. So when it says you should fear Hashem, Hare Myra zu kima. Myra means to get up, right? So that's what it means. Okay, Ve'ema Myra ribis u Myra mishkalos. Maybe Myra means ribis, and mishkalos means to make sure your weights are proper, because that it says in the Torah also the lashon of Myra there. Meaning, who says Myra? And he's learning out Myra here in this pasuk from V'yaresa Melikecha, and that Myra is talking about standing up. So that means the other pasuk is also talking about standing up. Fine, but maybe Myra is from ribis or mishkalos, meaning don't lend your Rebbe ribis, and don't rip people off. So Rabbi Elazar Pnei Gomer. He's learning out Gzeira Shava Pnei. Okay, so that it means to stand up for those. Now, does this mean that when a Chacham comes over to you to talk to you, so you have to Slachari, he comes over to you in Besmerish, right? Like yesterday we saw Rabbi Gamliel pour drinks for whoever, and they had a machlokes whether Gamliel can stand and pour drinks to them. Right? I mean, does that mean you have to stand up? Does it mean you have to stand up when they come talk to you, l'chayr, right?
Isn't that exactly what it's saying? When Talmud Chacham comes within your Dalet Amos, you have to stand up.
Right, and then you can't sit down until when?
We didn't talk about that. That's
right.
We never mentioned that.
Right. So in Shulchan Aruch, it says that really till he's sitting. I don't remember exact the parameter. There's so many different variables.
Till he's out of your Dalet Amos.
That was when he comes into your Dalet Amos, right?
And then when he leaves your Dalet Amos, you could sit down.
Well, Rebbe Muvik is until the eye, till the eye. Well, that's from when, yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. No, but that's good. But that's that. Now, what happens? You see a lot of people in Besmerish, when their friend comes over to them, they stand up. Where does that come from?
Because it's covered. It's nice. It's nice to actually. It's nice to stand up and that person's not looking down on you. It's just a nice thing.
So you're saying it's not a chiyuv?
You tell me. Is it a chiyuv?
What?
I don't tell you. I don't say what the chiyuv is.
I don't know either. I'm wondering because I used to never do it. I don't think it used to be done. Now I think it's done a lot more. Right? No? Okay, I don't know. I don't know if that's. I mean, if anything, for a gadol, right? Then you would do it, but not or a rebbe or an elder. Ich weiß nicht. Okay, I don't know. Fine, weiter. Now we have some interesting shilas here. One of them is actually negayah to me. Iboilu. They had a shilah. Benoi bu rabbi. If a person is his father's rebbe, right? Meaning benoi, it's coming from the father's perspective. His father and his rebbe. Ma'u lamed bnei aviv. So the first, there's going to be two similar questions in a row. The first question is the son mechuyev to stand for his father? Meaning, because you have competing covenants here. On one side, one hand, he's the father. On the other hand, the son is the rebbe. Right? So does he have to stand up? So Tashma, Damar Shmuel Rav Yehuda, Shinana, Kum Mikame Avuch. He says, Shinana, we had that before. That's what he used to call Rav Yehuda. Somebody who's sharp, stand in front of your father. So you see that you do have to stand up, even if the son is the Rebbe. Shani Rabbi Yecheskel, the Baal Maisim Hava. Yecheskel was a Baal Rabbi Yecheskel was a Baal Maisa. Dafilu Mar Shmuel Nami Mikame. Even Shmuel stood up in front of Rabbi Yecheskel. Like we learned yesterday, somebody who's a Baal Maisim Toivim, you have to stand up for him too. So maybe that's not a right. Maybe that's not a right. Elamai Komerle. Right. So if that's the case, so what was he saying to get up for him? Right. Yeah. So meaning, why did he have to tell him? He's like sort of saying a psak. So my God says, Hachi Komerle. Zimnin da'asi me'achure. Maybe sometimes your father is going to go behind me. Kum at mikame, and come stand up in front of him. But like techish leyikra didi, and don't be chayshish for my chashivas. Meaning, there's a din that when your rebbe's there and an adam chashuv comes in, you're not allowed to stand up for that adam chashuv if your rebbe doesn't stand up, because then that's a pagam and your rebbe's covered, right? If you're sitting talking to your rebbe and adam chashuv comes in, your rebbe doesn't stand up, you can't stand up either, because that's pagam to your rebbe. So what he's saying here is that if I don't see him because my back is to your father, stand up. Even though I'm your rebbe sitting here, stand up for your father, and it's not a pagam in my covered because I'm not seeing him. Right? So that's what that's what he meant. So we have no raya from there. And the Maisa, the Gemara doesn't paskin. So does a son have to stand up for the father when the son is the rebbe or not? Fine. So then they had another question. But no ibuhu rabbi. If they have his son, right, and he's the rebbe, ma'u sheyamid avim mipanav, does the father have to stand for the son? Right. So Tashema, Dam Rabbi Shua ben Levi, ani any kedai lamer v'nei b'ni. Really, I should not be standing up for my son. Elam mishum kvoid based nasi, but because of the coveted based nasi, because he married into the nasi's family, so I have to stand up. So Taimadana Rabbi, right? So he's saying the reason that I shouldn't stand up for my son is because I'm his Rebbe. Ha'iu Rabbi, mashma, if he would be my Rebbe, I would stand up in front of him. So we have a raya that he does have to stand up. If it's a father is not a adam chashuv and the son is his Rebbe, then he does have to stand up. Right? So Ani, so we say no, it's not a proof. Ani any kedai lamed v'nei. He's saying I'm not. It's not kedai for me to stand up in front of my son. Fafiluhu rabbi, even if he would be my rebbe, to ano avua, but because I'm his father. Elam mishum covered base nasi, but because of the covered for the base nasi, so therefore I stand up. Meaning the previous way the Gemara wanted to say it is that because he was his rebbe, but now we're saying no. He was saying I shouldn't stand up because he's my son, right? So the Maisa, the Gemara does not paskin. The Gemara doesn't paskin like that, which doesn't go. Gemara doesn't answer. The Rosh says. The Rosh says that they should both stand up for each other. I think that's what the Rambam says that. I'm not remembering now. Some pasuk. I think Shulchan Aruch. Yeah, Shulchan Aruch says that they don't have to, but they should stand up for each other. Something along those lines. Right. So anyway, so when I walk into a room, my mother does this little hop thing. You saw yesterday that she said we have to stand up for her. Well, when I walk into a room, she doesn't stand up, but she does that little thing. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that? I'm not. Does she think that my ego is so low that she needs to do that? But I don't know what to do. I don't want to bring it up to her. So I don't know. So I listened to one of the Daf Yomis to Rabbi Raz to see what he had to say. He said a rush. I have to ask Shmuley about this. He said over the rush, said the Marami Rottenberg. I have this vaguely in my head, but I looked in the rush. I couldn't find it. The rush brings Marami Rottenberg. Listen to this. That once Marami Rottenberg got a position of chashivas, he never went to see his father again. Because he didn't want to put his father into the situation of having to stand up for him. That's what he said.
Is that the right thing?
I don't know. I mamish don't know.
It doesn't sound like it.
Doesn't sound like it, but I have that vaguely in my head that this thing is
that's not the right thing to ask from Shiyakov. We should pass on the Marami Rottenberg either. That's not the right thing.
No, I'm not Chas v'Shalom. I'm not saying that the Marami Rottenberg did the wrong thing.
I know you're not. I know you're not.
It just doesn't sound like the right thing.
Correct.
I must not be understanding it.
It's an interesting thing. I don't know. I have to find. I looked in the rush today all over for it. I couldn't find it. Shmuley Sugar might know. I know he was very into Marami Rottenberg, right? And way back. Yeah. But anyways, that was just an interesting thing.
I have an interesting thing. 1 second. Jesse, sometimes when I sit in a chair, I never sat in this spot in the room to learn. And the reason I sat there is because of the Shagan's delivery truck hit one of the Fruma guy's cars right outside my window. I had to run out. I missed the last 10 minutes. I had to run outside.
Oh, that's why you're saying it's Basher that you're sitting there. Otherwise, you wouldn't have seen.
I guess so. I hope so.
You stopped them?
They got my neighbor. He came out. They had a schmooze, whatever they decided. And
oh, there you go. You're ready to get into Shomrim the new year. Yeah, you should go into Shomrim because you'll be the elder. They're gonna have to listen to everything you say. Okay, weiter.
It's the Rosh Simon Nun Zion. He says both.
He says it.
Both stand up for each other. Yeah, and the Marami Rottenberg.
He brings it with Nun Zion.
Nun Zion.
Oh man, I can't believe I couldn't find it. Okay, good. At least it's that's what he says. How many years? Does he say how many years it was till his father was nifta?
He says both ways. He didn't want his father to come to him either.
Right, he didn't want
to see his father. He didn't go there, and he didn't allow his father to come to him.
Interesting. It's mamish a fascinating thing. Gotta look into this a little bit more. Gotta look into this. Okay. It's wild, yeah. Fine. Yeah. But well, it shows us again the keep up aim. You know what I mean? What it's yeah. Fine. Oh, so this is an interesting question. Is Rachav, not that the other questions are not interesting, but right, if is riding like walking in front of you have to stand up. Right, so I will get back to this in a second. I'm going to buy a Toshima, so we know that the such thing is let's just do as Akdama. The such thing is tzaras, right? So tzaras is matama, just like a mace. If you're under the same roof as a mace, you become tame. Same thing if you're under the same roof as somebody who has tzaras, you'll become tame. However, the person the mitzaira has to be sitting. Right? If he's not sitting, then he's not going to be matama. So tame yoshev tachas ilan. So let's say the mitzaira who's tame is sitting under a tree. The tar aimed, and the tar is standing under it. Tame, so he becomes tame. Tame aimed tachas ilan. But let's say the tame, the one who has tzaras, is standing under the tree. The tar yoshev, and the one whose tar is sitting. Tar, then he's tar. Bim yoshev tame. But if the tame then sits down, hatahar tame, then the tar person becomes tame. The chembe even hamenugas. And the same thing if he's holding a stone that has tzaras, right? Meaning, if the one holding the stone is sitting, so then the tumah is going to become, anybody under the same roof is going to become tummy. If he's standing, he's not. What it's saying is when the rock is not sitting, right? the rock is being held by somebody's hand, right? So it's again, the Gemara is saying, if the person holding the rock is standing, then the guy doesn't get tsaras. If the person holding the rock is sitting, then the other guy gets tsaras, right? What's the difference? Who's holding the rock or not? Meaning the rock is the rock, right? So Elamai, you see that the rock takes on the status of whoever's holding it, right? So Shma Mina. So a person who's riding on an animal or in a car, so then that's as if he's walking, right? If the stone in the guy's hand and he's standing up is considered like the stone is standing. So then the same thing, if the Chacham is sitting on a horse and the horse is moving, so that's if the Chacham himself is moving, in which case you have to stand up for him. So comes out according to this Gemara, and the Gemara here paskins, it's kimahalach dummy. So you're sitting on a park bench, right? And a car comes by, or you're sitting outside your house, you're sitting on your porch, and a car comes by with an old man. You got to stand up, right? That's the way it goes.
And by the time you stand up, he's already passed.
So that's the thing. Is he going to see you?
Really old
No?
man, it takes a while for them to drive past.
I mean, you have to identify the old man, that it's actually an old man, no?
Have you ever seen an old man
president.
drive?
It has the presidential seal on the car.
I listen. I don't know how you. I mean, the same thing. You're in a parking lot, right? Don't park near the handicap. That's stay far away from the handicap, right? That's anyways. Okay, bye. Oh, this is really for Simchas Torah, this sugya. Do you have to stand in front of a Sefer Torah or not? Right? Those that are learn, if in front of the ones that learn, you stand up, so in front of the Sefer Torah itself about it. Rabbi Levi, Rabbi Yaakov Bar Zabdi have a Yasvi. They were sitting. Chalav Azar Rabbi Shimon ben Abba. Shimon ben Abba, Bar Abba passed by. But come and they stood up in front of him. Amrlahu, meaning, but they were Amrlahu. He said to them. So he was telling him, you shouldn't stand up for me. You guys are chachamim, and I'm a chaver. And should a Torah stand in front of its talmidim? Meaning they were learning. Right, Rashi, they were in the middle of learning. So I'm not learning. I'm walking around. I should stand up from you. I mean, you should stand up from me. I'm not. You're in the middle of learning. So Savar, so we say he's held like Rabbi Lazar. Damar Rabbi Lazar ain't tam chacham l'shay lam ibnei rabbi. A Talmid Chacham is not allowed to stand up in front of his Rebbe b'shasha oiseh b'Torah when he's learning Torah. So you think, okay, there's the excuse. You're sitting and learning. You don't have to stand up for your Rebbe. The only problem is the next three words. Layat Allah Abaya. Abaya cursed anybody or screamed at anybody who went with this psak, which is the way we paskin. And learning, that's a pella. Learning, you could be in the middle of learning and you got to stop and stand up. You got to stand up. What should I tell you? Even for older. It's a straight Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch says, "Afilu b'shashu oiseh b'Torah tzarich lamed b'panav." Finish. Not only a chacham, not only a rebbe, but somebody older also.
Would it make more sense to go learn in a shul where nobody's there all day? This way you don't get interrupted.
That's what I did when I was in Tower 41 in Miami. I left. You couldn't learn. You couldn't learn.
Is it dafka when you walk into the room? Let's say somebody walking, on Zoom. You have to stand up?
On Zoom? I don't know on Zoom.
Does it dafka
standing up?
Well, I mean, you see him walk by on Zoom.
You said something a few minutes ago about on the road.
What?
Yeah, just now. We just said it. The guy's on the road. Yeah.
Guys driving by you on the road.
You're in the car.
One second. I remember years ago, I was driving. I believe it was with you, and Rabbi Yeager was in the next lane, and you didn't let me pass him. And you quoted a Taisvis when they say "V'takum."
Is that so? I was once that religious. Yeah. Man, that's a good time to come to Rabbi Shem with that one and say I'm actually from. Is that really?
That was a Taisvis that you said it was a Taisvis. I don't know if it was a Kiddushin or something.
I must not have
why
done.
Can't you just learn standing up?
You could. That's true, but you could.
You said it was on the derech or something. It was a Taisvis. You said it was on. Yeah.
I don't know. We learned in the top of them, if you don't stand up for your Rebbe, you forget your Torah. So I guess I must not have had that much respect because I don't remember. Yes, parrots, you could learn standing up, but is that called avoiding the mitzvah? Is that like closing your eyes? One thing is clear, the place can say, I think, that you can't stand. Let's say you don't like a chacham, right? You don't like him, but he's a chacham. And you hear he's coming. You stand up quickly before he comes so that you don't have to stand up for him. Right? You could do that? I don't think so.
What happens if you do it? You get an Avera?
What?
What happens if you do it? You get an Avera. I'm saying you don't.
What do you walk around with a scorecard? What do you do?
Listen, this is the season for the scorecard, Rabban. Right?
We're in the playoffs, yeah.
We're overtime.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
I once saw a beautiful thing by the Kaisel.
Yeah.
We're talking about standing, who to stand for. There was a Yid collector, one of the Yerushalmi collectors, was the first minyan inside Erev Shabbos. So it was a very busy minyan. And he was collecting, people were giving him. And I noticed he kept on moving around. So when I finished him in Esra, I stood and I watched him. He stood up for every old person. He was old Yerushalmi also. He stood up for every old person. I didn't understand why he was fidgeting so much, but that's what he was doing. Not become his kufa, but
interesting.
He made a move.
I guess that's the way. Okay, that's what he stood up straight all the way, or just like
no.
I hear. Okay, let's see. But this next one, this is not for Erev Rosh Hashanah. Let me tell you, this next Gemara is not for Erev Rosh Hashanah. What should I tell? So they looked after Moshe. Every time Moshe left his tent, everybody went out and looked at him. Rav Ami v'Rav Yitzchak Nafla. Chad Omar l'Genai. The Gemara, the Torah is saying it as a Genai. V'Chad Omar l'Shvach, and one is saying it l'Shvach. Ma'ad Omar l'Genai k'di Isa. It's a fascinating thing. The one that says that it was bad, it's like it says. And Rashi says the Gemara does not want to say what it is because it's a Genai for Klal Yisrael. Right? Right? Look at Rashi. You got to see this Rashi because it's a very interesting. I mean, this story punkt we don't want to say over. Right? 3 lines up on the bottom. Kidei Isa. The Gemara did not want to be mefarsin this. The Medrash Tanchuma says it. So that's a question. So the Gemara doesn't say it. Reb Tanchuma decided to say it. And why is Rashi saying it? Right? Right? Look how fat Moshe's legs are. And look how fat his neck is. All from us. Can you please? This is what
that's a riot. Don't wear halbahosen. Don't wear Rebbe Shapir.
Maybe that's a riot that maybe that's a riot to all those comic books that the coloring books that the kids write that they taka dressed like Chassidim. Maybe.
Yeah, right.
Right. So what is the pshat in this? Right? I mean, it says Hashem Hakol Mishalonu. This is all comes from us. So they're sort of taking credit. I'm not exactly sure what they did. Ich weiß nicht. I don't know. I don't know what the pshat, why Rashi says it. He quoted Rabbi Razna, the Shalom Etzion Ba'alacha, says that the reason why Rashi decided to say it is to tell Rabbanim that like we say this, or that you think this is the way. This is what happens. They go at the Rabbanim don't get treated properly. They get the Olam doesn't and see that this is what goes on. That's what Rashi's trying to say. That's an interesting pshat. Anyways, okay, bye. So that's the Genai. Madam l'Shvach, Amar Chizki, Amar Li Rab Chanina Breid, Rab Amar Rab Dibi Demin Chayfa, Chacham Oiver. Right, if a Chacham passes by, Oymin Melfan of Dalet Amos. Right, you have to stand up for him. Oh, so Dalet Amos covered, right? The Kivan Sha'over Dalet Amos Yoshev. Once he goes Dalet Amos away, then you could sit down. Av Bezdin Oiver. I thought we did this Gemara already, but I guess we didn't. Av Bezdin Oiver. If the Av Bezdin walks by, Oymin Melfan of Malayanov. You have to stand up from once you see him, even if it's way further than Dalet Amos. Even Shavar Dalet Amos Yoshev. Once he passes Dalet Amos, you sit down. Nasi over. If a Nasi is going by, you have to stand up as far as I can see, you don't sit until he sits in his place. They watched Moshe until he went to his tent. So that's where it was l'shvach. Everybody stayed in their place till Moshe went to his tent, because obviously he was a nasi, right? So it doesn't say here. It says from a regular standard person, you stand up for him and then you could sit down, right? That's if he's over, or maybe not. It says Dalaramas, so he's not. Is that considered over? I'm not sure. Okay, fine. Now we get into the major sugya of the Tinyana de Yoima Mamish, of mitzvah say Shazman Groma. So kol mitzvah say Shazman Groma. Toner Abanan, meaning women are potter from any mitzvah, any time-bound mitzvah, any time-related mitzvah. Yeah. So Toner Abanan, Eze mitzvah to say Shazman Groma. What's a mitzvah say Shazman Groma? So sukkah, lulav, shofar, tzitzis. On Tamid Aleph now, tefillin, right? So you have a question to be asked. Why are we so why are the women so busy with shofar? You have a Ferish Gemara right here. It says they're potter, right? Which at the end of the day, they are potter. They are potter. But they're mechayev themselves, in the mitzvah. So since they're mechayev themselves in the mitzvah, it's like sort of like a minig. But push comes to shove, if they can't get it, if they can't get to shofar. So Lamaisa, they're potter.
So most women do lulav also now, no?
Correct, but again, they're potter. They're also potter. There's no avoiding that. Fine. What's a mitzvah to say shalayas man grom? Mezuzah, Micah is to put up a fence around the roof. Aveda, Hashavas Aveda, Shiluach Hakain, right? It's sending out the bird. Those are all mitzvahs assays that are not time bound, so they're chayav to do that. So Gemara says, "V'klalahu, is it a klal that every time-bound mitzvah they have to do? Hare matzah, simcha, hakel, right? Matzah they chayevin, simcha they chayevin, hakel they chayevin. The mitzvah says man grama, v'noshim chayavas. That's one question. The suvare Talmud Torah piri v'yira pidyon aben. You have Talmud Torah piri v'yira pidyon aben. The lam mitzvah says man grama. Those are not time-bound. You have to learn all day. Pru revu is also, and pidyon aben is no time after 30 days. You have to do it at any time. The lam mitzvah says man grama v'noshim peturas. So what's going on here? So Rabbi Yochanan ein lemedem in aklalos. We don't learn out from rules. Rules are meant to be broken, right? Even if it says chutz, we still don't make a rule. Meaning, if you would think that it says chutz, you would think that okay, so then everything is included except for what it excluded. No, even that there could be other things that are not part of the rule. The Tanan, hold on. That's your shofar for today. That's your shofar. Yeah, the Tanan, Bakol, Ma'arvin, Mishtatin, you can make an erev tchum with anything, except any type of food, chutz min hamayim or melech, except for water and milk. This is talking about when you want to go more than 2,000 amas out of the city, so you have to put down food. So everything except from water and salt. The suleka, and there's nothing else, but you could kamein or pitrius. There's mushrooms and kamein, what do you call that, truffles that are not considered real food. You can't make an erev with that either. So how come the Mishnah doesn't exclude that? We don't learn that from rules. Even if it says chutz, that doesn't mean that there aren't other situations. So therefore, even though our Gemara says that it's lulav and tefillin and etc., but there are others that they're chayavin, and the same thing with other mitzvahs. Fine, mitzvah says peturas. Are they potter? So how do you know? I'm sorry. The Gemara says mitzvah says they're potter. Minolan, how do we know? Gomer mitfillin. We learned it out from tefillin. Ma tefillin noshim peturas. Noshim are potter from tefillin. Afko mitzvah says man groma. So every mitzvah says man groma. Noshim peturas. Women are potter, right? And tefillin. Why is tefillin taka mitzvah says man groma? Not because of night. Tefillin is because Shabbos and Yom Tiv. Because be'etzem, we paskin that tefillin can be worn at night. We don't do it. But yeah. I'm in the middle of shir, but you could wait here for 5 minutes. Or call me. The tefillin, Gomer Lami Talmud Torah. And tefillin, we learn it from Talmud Torah. Ma Talmud Torah, Noshim Peturas, just like learning Noshim Peturas. Af tefillin, Noshim Peturas, women are also potter from that. So that's how we learn it out. We learn it out from tefillin, and tefillin is from Talmud Torah. Benakish tefillin lemezuzah. Why don't we compare tefillin to mezuzah? And just like a woman's chayiv in mezuzah, so she should be chayiv in tefillin. So tefillin Talmud Torah iskish bein beparsha rishon bein beparsha shniya. In Shema, it mentions tefillin and Talmud Torah in the end of your hafta and at the end of Ahaya. Right? So, but it doesn't compare it to mezuzah, only in the second. So tefillin mezuzah parsha shniya loy iskish. We don't compare it to it's only in the second parsha. So Mamela, it gets compared to Torah twice and to mezuzah only once. Therefore, we'd rather do it to tefillin. So the Gemara asks, "V'nakish mezuzah Talmud Torah." Why don't we compare mezuzah to Talmud Torah, right? And therefore, they should be potter from mezuzah. Let's argue that. I don't think that the civil man yiri yimechem. It says the reason why you do mezuzah is because you want to have a long life, right? Gabri boy chai, nashi loy boy chai. Men have to live life. Women don't have to live life. That you can't say that women are potter from mezuzah, right? They got to be chai. Oh, so very sukkah, the mitzvah seishas man grama. Sukkah is a mitzvah seishas man grama. The sukkah is teishu shivas yamin. Time with the cost of Rachmana Ezrach. But it says ha Ezrach that you are that the people that live, that dwell there, lahaitzias and nashim, that excludes women. Halav hachi nashim chayavas. Meaning, we need a special pasuk to say why women are potter from mezuzah, right? So why are they potter from mezuzah? Because it says Ezrach. Why aren't they just potter of mitzvah seishas man grama, right? So must be mitzvah seishas man grama they're Samar Abaya. Itzrich, we need it. It says you should live in sukkahs teishvu kein taduru. You should live the way you should dwell the way you live. Ma'adira isha ish ve'ishtoi. When you live with a man and a wife. So af sukkah ish ve'ishtoi. So a sukkah should also be your wife. So she should be mechuyev in sukkah. So therefore the pasuk tells you ha Ezra. The hay tells you only men. So basically the order is like this. Really, women should be potter because it's time related. But since they are married, so they're supposed to be maybe in a sukkah. So we say, oh, Ezra tells us that they're not. You can't learn out from that anything else. But Rav Amaro has a different shot. We need it. We should learn Xera Shavra Matzas. By Matzas, women are chayiv. Malal on Noshim Chayavos, Avkan Noshim Chayavos. So Noshim are chayiv. So too, Noshim should be chayiv in sukkah. That's what you would think. So Tzricha, therefore, you need it. Right?
He's fast.
Yeah, actually, I just saw a fascinating thing. Everybody's asking about sourdough for Rosh Hashanah. Can you have sourdough on Rosh Hashanah? Guys wanted a contemporary shilas. So it says because of Tesvav, you can't have. Some want to say you can't have matzah ashira for Sukkot. So maybe you should dafka have sourdough on Sukkot because you only want water and flour, no other ingredients like challah. And though it's a serious shita that's brought down, we obviously don't paskin like that, but
I don't understand. What's the shayla?
Tesvav. Just like Pesach, you can only have flour and water. Tesvav is the sukkahs. We just said, Naftali, you compared Tesvav.
Shana, we're not
I
talking.
thought you said sourdough and Rosh Hashanah because sour.
Yes, I'm not talking about Rosh Hashanah. I'm saying Stam, that's a question about Rosh Hashanah. But I'm saying, so people are asking whether to have Rosh Hashanah. Now I'm saying that for Sukkot, because of Tesvav, you might be mechuyev to, or maybe matzah, but just flour and water, whatever it is.
Is this based on the prima
yeah, my father always brought out matzah on Sukkot.
Okay,
that's a prima godin. That's a prima godin. He says because of Tesvav.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, okay. I guess we'll stop here because it's too. All right. And a good year, and we should continue the good zachin of learning together, and everything. Everybody should only see good things.
Amen.
All right.
How would that run?
A good Erev Shabbos, a good Rosh Hashanah.
What?
A good Erev Rosh Hashanah. A good Erev Shabbos.
There you go. That's right. Don't forget about that. A good year to you, and you should feel good, and you get the refuah and the Yeshuas and everything. Everybody should have it. All right. Fine. Okay. Good Shabbos. Good Yom. Bye bye.